Hey guys, what's up? Gamer Guide here. And alright, so I saw Sonic Movie 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, early in theaters. I saw it on December 17th, yesterday, 5 p.m. It was an advanced screening. And yo, I just gotta say, before I get into the video, Paramount and Jeff Fowler, you guys cooked. You actually cooked. Congratulations to the team that made this movie. You know, this is great. Act 3 alone is worth the price of admission. I'm just going to say it. Sonic Movie 3 is better than Mario Movie. I enjoyed this movie a lot more than Mario Movie. And I loved Mario Movie. I don't even care about the reviews it got. Mario Movie, I loved it more than the first two Sonic movies. But Sonic Movie 3, they nailed it. And I think so far, Rotten Tomatoes, as I'm making this video, the review scores isn't posted yet. But judging on by the reviews we've gotten so far, if you do the calculations, this movie has like an 82% right now, so it's in the 80s. I'm pretty sure its final score will be above 75% fresh, so I'm thinking it's going to be in the 80s. Yo, we won, guys, we won. I have never sat this long pondering about a Sonic movie before, definitely not with the first or the second film. You know, and I mean, the critics, they're comparing this trilogy with Toy Story and Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's how you know it's good, because those two, Toy Story and Lord of the Rings, those are goated trilogies. The best animated trilogy is Toy Story, and the best live action trilogy is Lord of the Rings. So to compare Sonic movie with that is high praise, high praise. And the ending of Sonic movie 3 was pretty emotional, especially towards the end, especially from Robotnik, surprisingly. Now, just to let you guys know, this is a spoiler review, so expect to have spoilers in this video. I'm not a professional movie critic, so don't expect to have a non-spoiler review and then I post a spoiler review. No, every video is going to be talked about in one review video. I don't got time to make multiple. So yeah, so we're going to get into all this right now, but before we do, be sure to smash the like button, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Alright, so yeah, some characters actually die in this film, and I'm not talking about Maria or even Joe Robotnik. Some characters actually die, and yeah, it's more than one. And like I said, Act 3 is a godsend. That was great. That was great. Now, let's backtrack a bit. Now, the first film, Sonic Movie 1, that was a nice surprise. You know, we all expected it to be trash because of that first infamous trailer, you know, Ugly Sonic. So, after that, we saw the second trailer. We just wanted a good film. We just wanted a decent film, a film that was not terrible. And that's what we got. We got a decent road trip movie based on a couple of video game characters, which was Sonic and Robotnik at the time. It was a 6 out of 10 or 6.5 out of 10 is what I would give it. You know, some people call it mid, but it was a nice mid. Mid doesn't mean bad, it's mediocre. It's just mid, middle of the road. A middle of the road movie. Then the second film took things up a notch, Sonic Movie 2, added more characters and pulled more from the game lore. But it had some glaring issues, like too many human subplots, the infamous wedding plot, and the film was longer than it needed to be. It was over 2 hours long. It didn't need to be that, especially that it was based on the classics Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Sonic's character also was not being true to the games, etc. I mean, we've known this since the first movie, but it was more glaring in Sonic Movie 2. And this is when a lot of people started hating on movie Sonic. But it was still better than the first film, so it was 7 out of 10. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, the flaws of the second movie started festering badly in the Knuckles show. Easily the worst of the franchise. You know, it was basically the Wade show and Knuckles. I also made a video showing how I'd rewrite it. I'll put the link in the description or whatever, or I'll put it in the title card in the video. So, yeah, I mean, the shit was so bad, it made some Sonic tubers cry. That's how bad the Knuckles show was. Now, enter Sonic Movie 3. A lot of people were getting skeptical of this movie, myself included. You know, Sonic still seemed out of character, judging by the trailers, and he just seemed too much of a pushover. Too goofy, annoying, and irritating. And I'm not the only person. A lot of people, even casual YouTubers who grew up on the classic Sonic games, said that this iteration of Sonic was just too irritating. You know, I remember this one guy I used to watch, Tyrone Magnus. He said he only watched the Sonic movies for Jim Carrey. If it wasn't for Jim Carrey, he wouldn't really watch it because movie Sonic was irritating to him. And that's not what he knows Sonic as. And Sonic's jokes just hardly ever landed, unlike Knuckles, who was just naturally funny. And then to make matters worse, those 4chan leaks, they were awful. Now, I actually made a video regarding the 4chan leaks of Sonic movie, but I didn't have time. I didn't have enough time to edit it and make it into a video. I'm so glad I didn't have enough time, because those 4chan leaks were completely wrong. There was only like maybe one or two things, minor things, that were right, but everything in it was wrong. You know, from the post-credit scenes that were wrong, to Shadow killing Sonic and his friends Tails and Knuckles and feeling remorse and then turning back time. There was no time travel in this movie, and Shadow didn't do any of that. And then Maddie having a baby, none of that shit happened in the movie. So it sounded so bad, like a Shadow fanboy snuck into the writer's room and rewrote the script before they filmed it. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to say that all those 4chan leaks are fake. Only a few things in it were right, like I said earlier, like Shadow siphoning chaos energy from Sonic and becoming Super Shadow. And then Amy being in the post-credit scene. Yes, I'll talk about that. I know I just dropped that. But yes, Amy and Metal Sonic are in the post-credit scene. I will describe that later. So also there's two post-credit scenes. So yes, let's get into it. Now, Sonic Movie 3 is definitely an 8.5 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. And I hope it rests at an 80% or above on Rotten Tomatoes. You know, this is such a rewatchable film. Matter of fact, I wish I forgot this movie so I can experience it all over again. I gotta watch this movie again. I saw it on Tuesday. I want to watch it again on Friday when it comes out. It's that good. You know, they trimmed out all the fat from the previous two movies. You know, this is the most video game Sonic that movie Sonic has ever been. I'm impressed. They even used some lines from Sonic Adventure 2. You know, like the talk about low budget flights, no food or movies, we're out of here. Now Sonic says we're out of here instead of I'm out of here, because it's that scene like in the trailer when Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are jumping out of the gun helicopter. I was shocked when I heard that line. I was not expecting any SA2 lines in the movie, because we didn't even get Faker line or you're not even good enough to be my fake. That wasn't in the movie. So let's address Sonic before we start talking about the acts, because I want to talk about each act piece by piece. That's why I wanted to make this video. I didn't have time to make a review video with Premi to Remy or Brown Table. Sonic Movie 2, I did that with Premi and Brown Table, and Sonic Movie 1 I did with Brown Table. This time I'm doing it by myself. So yeah, now Sonic, let's address him. This is the best he's been portrayed in the entire franchise, you know? And also, here's some complaints I heard about him, judging from the movie 3 trailers, that Sonic is pro-cop. Why is he working with gun? Why is he working with the police? This is the whitest Sonic's ever been, blah, 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 blah. Relax. Sonic is not pro-cop at all. First of all, those handcuffs you see when he shows it in the clip, those are made by Tails. Tails makes those handcuffs so Sonic can, you know, arrest Shadow. And Shadow ends up beating Sonic and handcuffing him to the rails. But yeah, so like Sonic doesn't trust Gun for a majority of the film. You know, he only works with Gun briefly in that one scene you see. After that, he doesn't work with Gun again. So I'll explain that later. And also, his humor. Sonic's humor is actually good in this film. Sure, not all the jokes land, but Sonic's humor is closer to Spider-Man, which is great, you know, so he's not irritating now. Yes, he does a lot of pop culture references, but it fits this Sonic character now. And he's like Spider-Man, you know, Sonic was cracking more jokes like, you know, the first time he was fighting Shadow and Shadow was just whooping their asses. Sonic would joke, you know, to like Spider-Man does, to throw off his enemies or to cope in dangerous or difficult situations. That's what Sonic was doing, and I'm glad Fowler finally fixed that. So it fit. Sonic wasn't irritating in this movie. There were times where he came across as an asshole sometimes, you know, and I'll explain that later. But it was understandable when he was an asshole. And also, Sonic is not a weak pushover. You know, like Shadow pushes Sonic over to the edge. I will tell you, there is an Uncle Ben moment in this film that Sonic, like when I said in my community post that this movie is about revenge and forgiveness on both sides, I meant both sides. I wasn't just talking about Shadow. I was talking about Sonic too. You know, he gets so pissed. There's a part he punches Shadow so fucking hard, he sends him flying to the moon. Like, it's crazy. Like, you know how that Justice League cartoon where Superman warp punches Darkseid so hard, sends him flying through cities? Sonic does that too. You know, like both Sonic and Shadow are him. And so like I said, Sonic is closer to his video game counterpart in this movie. And yeah, and like, you know how sometimes he does his own thing and he doesn't work as a team? Kind of be a little selfish and an asshole to Tails and Knuckles. Now let's go to the spoilers, starting with Act 1. Now, Act 1, the first 30 minutes are just as great as the last 30 minutes, but the first 30 minutes in Act 1 starts with Shadow breaking out of the gun-based prison. Very menacing, I like that. Then after that, after he skates, above the waters, then we go over to Sonic's birthday. Now, this kind of starts like Sonic Generations, but it's not really Sonic's birthday. It's Sonic's birth, keyword Earth, in birthday, because this is basically Tom and Maddie are celebrating the day they first discovered Sonic. And then, Sonic races with his friends Tails and Knuckles. And they also have the jingle music, the Sonic 3 jingle music when he wins. So that's cool. And then later that night, Gun comes by the helicopter and they enlist Team Sonic's help to Tokyo to fight Shadow, because Shadow has invaded Tokyo, Japan. And Agent Rockwell. By the way, that fan theory about Agent Rockwell being Agent Rouge, that's debunked. There is no Rouge in this movie. Rockwell is not Rouge. She's just a gun agent. So there's no Rouge and there's no Bio-Lizard. Jeff Fowler, he said in an interview he wanted this movie to be more grounded and a focused story, so Bio-Lizard and Rouge didn't fit. Honestly, I didn't miss Bio-Lizard at all. I told you guys since the beginning of the year, I don't see Bio-Lizard being in this movie. Like, it would be more believable to see Metal Sonic in this movie, which we technically did see him. But it'd be more believable to see him than Bio-Lizard, and I was right. So yeah, after they get their asses kicked by Shadow in that clip, then Sonic chases after him, and Tails, he warns Sonic, this is a bad idea, we're supposed to work as a team. And Sonic is like, when has that ever stopped me? And then he runs after Shadow. After that, they fight. Shadow fights Sonic motorcycle. Then they collided with that punch that we've seen several times in the trailer. The whole city goes into a blackout. The electricity cuts back on. Sonic wakes up, and he's handcuffed to the rail. Shadow has escaped. Then after that, Sonic starts questioning Gun. Right then and there, he's no longer working with Gun, because he's like, wait, why did Shadow tell me you jumped out of a gun helicopter? There's nothing more to talk about. Like, Shadow seemed upset, and Sonic is like, is Gun hiding something from us? Then he sees Commander Walters, the Olive Garden guy. And Walters explains things, although he's not all the way truthful. You see, Walters was there when Gun killed Maria. He was actually there, Now, I know all of you guys are wondering, did they shoot Maria? Maria does die, but she's not shot. One of the gun soldiers was about to shoot Maria, but then young Commander Walters, or the Olive Garden guy when he was young, played by a different actor, he basically pushes the other guy, cuts in front of the other guy. He's like, don't shoot, she's a child. Then the gun soldier, his gun gets jerked away. He accidentally shoots one of the capsules, which has like a gas fire chamber or whatever, so that explodes, it ignites, and then everybody is blown back, and because of the explosion, Maria dies. So that's how Maria dies, from the explosion that explodes right close to her as she's running away with Shadow and Joe Robotnik. But that scene reminded me of Sonic X when they're running away. So Shadow wakes up, and that clip where you see Shadow and Gerald over a body, that's Maria. And yeah, Gerald was actually sad and crying too. So Jim Carrey definitely shows his acting chops in here. He's not just all the way goofy all the time. So that's how it is. I'll get to Maria soon. But yeah, so Walters is not truthful to Sonic about it. He just tells Sonic about Shadow and how he comes from a tortured past and he was experimenting on. Now, right when Walters is still talking to them, they're ambushed by Eggman drones. Now, this is in Chow Garden, and Walters is killed. Yeah, I was not expecting them to kill Commander Walters, but yes, he is killed. Obviously, it's PG. So that's why I couldn't believe at first that he was dead, because I didn't see any blood or anything like that. But yeah, but before he dies, he gives Sonic the key card right before he dies. The key card is what they need to infiltrate Gun Base, which is actually located in the UK, but they need 2 key cards. So right before this, Agent Stone comes. He's disguised, and he's basically dressed in biker gear, and he comes and he destroys the drones. And then Sonic is like, haven't we dealt enough with motorcycle villains today? And then basically Team Sonic chases after the Agent Stone. And then right after they run away, then Agent Rockwell investigates the scene. And then from there, she marks Team Sonic as fugitives, because she thinks that Sonic is responsible for Walter's death. So I like that. I like how Gun is against Sonic, and they kind of have Sonic on their wanted list, kind of like the game Sonic Adventure 2, how, Gun is after him, they try to imprison him. So I'm glad they stay true to that, even though it's different this time. In the game, they mistaken Sonic for Shadow. which I don't know why, since Gunn worked with Shadow, Project Shadow. But in this movie, they know the Gunn knows Shadow, so Gunn is not going to mistake Sonic for Shadow. So I like how this movie, fixes some of those plot holes and discrepancies. Although this movie still has a plot hole, which I'll talk about later. So yeah, so that's the end of Act 1. Now Act 2, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles meet Agent Stone, and then he basically introduces them again to Robotnik, Dr. Robotnik in his hideout in the crab thing. And Agent Stone tells them that the drones were not being controlled by Robotnik and he's been tracking them. So they go see Robotnik, who's depressed and fat like the trailer, and Robotnik has been watching like soap operas and stuff. I think he's been watching a Telemundo soap opera, those Spanish soap operas. That's the running gag. I'll get to it later. But yeah, so basically Team Sonic thought he was dead, which we all thought so too after the end of Sonic Movie 2. So, they ask for his help. Robotnik thinks it's an imposter that's hacking his robots. Obviously, it's Gerald that's doing that. And Gerald does that on purpose to lure Ivo Robotnik to him. Now, meanwhile, Shadow visits the old gun base and meets Gerald. Now, I'm confused on the Gerald plot hole because I was thinking Gerald, because he's old, he was imprisoned and like cryogenically frozen or something, or he manipulated time and went to the future to meet his grandson, because there's no way he could live 50 years, and he's old 50 years ago too. Maybe I need to watch the movie again. If you guys have seen it, explain to me, how is Gerald still alive? Even Robotnik asked Gerald, like, where have you been this whole time of my life? And Gerald said that he was been imprisoned by Gunn. So anyway, so then we get more flashbacks on Maria and Shadow's origin, and it's not quite like the game. For instance, in the game, Shadow is created using Black Doom's DNA. And, obviously the first prototype is that bio-lizard, but then Gerald creates him. Now, in this movie, Shadow isn't created at all. And Black Doom doesn't exist in this movie. Shadow crash lands on Earth through a meteor. So, like, he's protecting this meteor, and they break it down, and they find out, it's a hedgehog. So this movie implies that Shadow came crashing down from his world through a meteor 50 years ago. So they start experimenting on him because they've never seen anything like it. And then, I don't know why they're experimenting on him, because Maria doesn't seem to have cancer in this movie. She just appears to be in the base, maybe because her grandfather's working on it. Like, she's more whimsical and ditzy in this, and you can clearly see that she's she grew up in the 70s. But yeah, so like that was kind of weird because like she doesn't have cancer. They're not trying to have Shadow cure her. It's just she's just there. And then she befriends Shadow and makes Shadow friendly. And then, Shadow tells Maria that, am I dangerous? Because everybody that's working on me, they fear me. Am I a danger to the world? And Maria, basically, she reassures Shadow that, no, you're not dangerous. You're a friend and all that stuff. So, they bond just like the games. But it's just that backstory kind of confused me because Shadow just happens to crash land there and they just start experimenting on him. Which, honestly, that sounds kind of dark. It's like Area 51 where they experiment on aliens. No special reason, but that's what they're doing to Shadow. So yeah, but he has fun with Maria. Now, I don't know why. That's why I need to watch the movie again because a lot was happening. But like Gerald, when Shadow's spending time with Maria, and then Gerald comes to them, is like, yo, we have to go. We have to run now. They're going to attack us. And then they start running. That's when Maria dies, I forgot why they were betrayed. I need to see that again. Because Gerald is... Obviously, his revenge is to destroy all of Earth. Because they killed Maria. But I don't know why they wanted to... I'm going to have to watch the movie again, guys. But yeah, I'm going to have to watch... Because I still don't know why they were going after the Robotnik family and Shadow. So... yeah, that part was kind of muffled because it wasn't like the game, but it was emotional. I liked it. So yeah, so as you know, Gerald meets Robotnik. Shadow attacks Team Sonic. He ambushes them and then, incapacitates them, ties them up like you see on the trailer. Then Sonic finds out that, oh, there's two Robotnik now, Gerald, and then all that. Then they take the key card from Sonic. Gerald takes Robotnik with him. Shadow drops the little thing that forms a black hole. And you saw in the trailer, then they escape to Tom and Maddie's house, and they team up with Tom and Maddie. Now, here's an interesting thing. Rachel and her husband, Agent Randall, are not in the movie. Yeah, I mean, you see them in the movie, you saw them in the posters, but they're technically not in Sonic Movie 3. Tom and Maddie are impersonating them using Tails' disguise device. Because obviously Randall's an agent of Gun, not Tom. Tom is just a cop. So they use Agent Randall and his wife to infiltrate Gun. I don't know if Rachel's an agent, but she is the wife of an agent. So yeah, Paramount took notes from the wedding scene. They realized that Rachel's a controversial character. Not a lot of people liked her. So they used her very minimally in this. So she just has a brief moment in the movie and she's pretty funny. That's it. So the Gerald and Robotnik moments are really good, especially when they're bonding. When you see all that in the trailer, they're having fun, skating, and dancing, or, Robotnik jumps on top of Gerald when he's dressed as Santa Claus. That's all fake. That's all done through their virtual reality because Gerald is like, we don't have much time, but what do you want to do with me since, this is your first time reuniting with your grandfather? Let me know anything you want to do, we'll do it. So they do it virtually, which that was kind of interesting. Agent Stone takes off the virtual reality goggle because he's starting to feel left out. And the General Robotnik moments are really good. I know some people may not like it because it's a bit too goofy, but I mean, let Jim Carrey be Jim Carrey. I mean, it's actually funny and it delivers this time. It's not like the wedding scene which just interrupts the movie. This doesn't. Even the part where they're dancing through those laser lights, it's funny because of their dancing, they waste time and Sonic actually catches up to them. So I like it, but I can see how some people think it's jarring to the plot because the movie is more serious and a little darker than the previous movies. Now, obviously, Agent Stone finds out what Gerald's really planning to do and tries to warn Ivo, and obviously Ivo Robotnik doesn't believe him. But now, here comes the real kicker that ends Act 2 and starts Act 3. Shadow kills Tom the cop. He punches Tom the cop because he thinks that that's Commander Walters, and for some reason he recognizes Commander Walters, even though Walters is considerably older than he was 50 years ago. But obviously that's not Walters. Walters is already dead. It's actually Tom in disguise. So I truly thought Tom was dead. But we'll get into that. So he punches Tom the cop. Sonic gets there and Sonic is like very angry. Sonic is like, "What did you do?" And Shadow's like, "What, I had to." Then obviously he leaves. Sonic is angry. Now this is what sets the tone for Act 3. Sonic is over the edge. Tails is trying to tell Sonic to calm down. Sonic's like, "Why are you telling me to be calm? Tom could be dead." So he forces Knuckles to tell him where he's hiding the Master Emerald. Now Knuckles has been hiding the Master Emerald, and in this movie it's like we all swore never to use it unless really dire situation, but we should not abuse its power. And he's telling Sonic, "Trust me, this is not the reason why you want to use the Chaos Emeralds. You're doing this out of anger and vengeance." And Sonic is about to clock. He's about to fight Knuckles. He's like, "Don't make me fight you. Tell me right now where the Master Emerald is." And Knuckles is like, "Okay." And I thought Knuckles was about to fight Sonic, but he's like, "All right, you want to know where it is? I'm going to tell you where it is. But don't say I didn't warn you. I'm going to tell you who's guarding it." And it's none other than Wade. Now, this is the only time Wade is in the movie, and it's actually funny. Wade is busy playing hockey, field hockey with the Master Emerald. Like, what the hell? So he sees Sonic, and Sonic is angry. Sonic's like, "I don't have any time. Give me the Master Emerald now." Wade is like, "No, Knuckles told me I have to guard this," and before he even finishes what he's saying, Sonic grabs it from him. And Wade, it's like, why would Knuckles entrust the Master Emerald to Wade? Come on now. So obviously Sonic breaks it apart, gets the Chaos Emeralds, turns into Super Sonic, then just shoots immediately into space. Badass moment. Already the Eclipse Cannon is already in the sky. Gerald Robotnik and his grandson are there, and then Gerald is like, "What's that shooting star coming at us? It's moving pretty fast." Ivo Robotnik still has Sonic's quill because he took that in collateral to working with Sonic. And then he sees that the quill turns golden, and he's like, "I know who that is. That's Sonic." Sonic just shoots bam through the Eclipse Cannon and just basically just grabs Shadow, and shoots out the other end, and then he's just wailing on Shadow. And then he's punching Shadow, and Shadow's like, "Yeah, now you know how I feel. Now you know what loss is." And then, he and Shadow fly back down to Earth, and they crash land on the volcanic, land. So this is that scene you saw in the trailer where Shadow's like, "You were right about one thing. This is the end." But That was misleading. Shadow says that when he's Super Shadow. So what happens is once they crash land, Shadow just does a little move and just completely siphons all the Chaos Emerald energy from Supersonic. So Sonic is not Supersonic anymore. The Chaos Emeralds are in midair, and then Sonic and Shadow are rushing at it. And so you see that one clip or that one screenshot where they're both lunging for the Chaos Emeralds. They both turn into their super form. Sonic is back to being Supersonic, but Shadow is also Super Shadow. So then Sonic comes to punch Shadow, and Shadow just blocks it with his hand. And that's when Shadow says, "You were right about one thing, this is the end." Then Shadow just goes off on Sonic. Punches Sonic. He does the Hulk move from the Avengers. Picks Sonic by the foot, just slams him all over the place. But then Sonic locks in. Sonic gets so mad, he punches Shadow. You know that scene in Man of Steel when Superman punches Zod? You know that cool cinematic scene, that close-up? Sonic does that to Shadow throughout the entire world. He's doing that through Egypt pyramids. He's doing that through cities. That scene is so fucking cool. And then it goes back to Gerald and Robotnik. Now, there's a funny scene in this. Now, obviously, Gerald and Ivo are fighting because, Robotnik realizes that Gerald is trying to destroy all of humanity. And Robotnik's like, I want to rule over the world. I don't want to destroy it and kill everybody. So they're fighting, but it's kind of a goofy fight scene because, they use all these, mechanical appendages and robot hands to fight each other. So it's pretty goofy. And I know Jeff Fowler does that on purpose to, balance from Sonic and Shadow's fight. But, yeah. So Sonic and Shadow fighting, and then, Shadow continues taunting Sonic about Tom, saying that you weren't there for Tom, we're your friends now. Sonic gets so mad, he punches Shadow all the way to the moon. Sonic is about to kill Shadow. Sonic beats Shadow, and, he beats Shadow out of his super form. And Shadow's like, yes, go ahead, kill me. Shadow is basically goading Sonic to kill him. It's like, this is what you wanted, give in to your anger, kill me. And Sonic is about to, and Sonic's like, no, this is not the way. I can't do this. This is not what Tom would have wanted. And then, basically he stops being Supersonic. Then he talks to Shadow. He's like, vengeance is not the answer. It's consumed me and it's consumed you too, So they talk it out, and Sonic is like, look, I know you've lost a lot with Maria, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And Shadow's like, how? Did you ever get over losing your loved ones? Sonic is like, no, I never really got over it, but you learned to live with it. I think he says something like that. And he's like, it makes you strong, and and you got to continue their legacy because that's what they want. They want you to, continue doing what's right. So then, obviously, Sonic and Shadow finally team up. They become their super forms again, and they take on the Eclipse Cannon. Now, instead of it being Bio-Lizard or Final Hazard, it's a bunch of robot drones. They're fighting it. And obviously, there's this cool move Shadow does where he gets he summons 100 Chaos Spears. Yes, he uses Chaos Spears and just shoots at the robots. So they're fighting, and they have their cool Sonic and Shadow pose from SA2, except it's in their super forms. And then eventually, Robotnik wins, beats Gerald. Gerald dies, and both Sonic and Shadow prevent the beam from shooting towards Earth. And, they steer the beam. But Sonic is the one that loses super form and faints. So obviously, he faints. Tails goes to rescue him, but before that, after they move the beam, it kind of shoots the moon. So they actually shoot up or blow up the moon, half of the moon, by accident. In the game, Sonic Adventure 2, Dr. Robotnik or Dr. Eggman does it to display, how terrifying the Eclipse Cannon is. He does it as a warning, but in this one, it's done as an accident. So Sonic kind of faints. Tails and Knuckles go to save Sonic. They save him. Then it's just Shadow and Robotnik. And Shadow goes to Robotnik, is like, this is our chance to do the right thing for Maria's sake. And then Robotnik knows what that means. He knows that, crap, that means I'm going to have to sacrifice myself. So he puts himself on the announcement all over Earth to make an announcement. And then he says that, look, I'm about to save everybody here. If I can't rule the world, I might as well save it. That line actually got me in the feels a bit because he actually said that in the trailer, but it was out of context. So when he says that here, he saves everyone, and he tells Agent Stone through, the speaker or through the screen camera thing that, you were always a good friend to me. I'm sorry I doubted you. Take care. So basically, Shadow takes off his inhibitor rings, transports the Eclipse Cannon. It explodes, killing Shadow and Dr. Robotnik. So that scene you see in the trailer where Sonic is hugging Knuckles in the cornfield, That's the aftermath. Sonic is like, wow, they sacrificed themselves for humanity. And then, you know, he tells Knuckles that, sorry that I treated you guys badly. We're a team. And Knuckles is like, Team Sonic. And Sonic's like, no, just team. And yes, Tom survives. He survives. I honestly thought he was dead, but he survives. He just has an arm cast. And then they go back to celebrating Sonic's birthday, and then Sonic races with his friends again. And that's the end of the movie. Now, let's go to the first post-credit scene. Now, it continues right after they're racing. Sonic runs a bit too far. He ends up in New York. It's at nighttime. And then he gets ambushed by Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic comes through a portal. And then right when he blows up Sonic, Sonic is behind him. Sonic, he basically defeats him and says, if you're trying to shoot at me, you better not miss. So he destroys Metal Sonic. Then numerous more Metal Sonics come out. Multiple Metal Sonics come out and they ambush him. And right before they jump him, a pink blur comes and destroys all of them with a hammer. And she's wearing a cloak. And then Sonic is like, who are you? She takes off her hoodie and it's Amy. Amy Rose is in the post-credit scene. Now, obviously, she doesn't talk, but yo, I called this. I knew Amy was going to be in this movie. And it's cool that they have her wearing a cloak. That's exactly what we theorized that she would wear since Sonic Movie 1. So she must be from Sonic's planet or something like that, since she's also a hedgehog. But yeah, and the last post-credit scene in the very end, it just shows Shadow's inhibitor ring that he took off that's back on Earth. And then it shows Shadow's hand picking it up. So you just see a gloved hand. That's obviously Shadow, hinting that he's returned. I kind of wish they didn't show that. I wish they just showed like a shadow over the rings, so you wouldn't be for sure that it's Shadow. But we saw his hand. We know Shadow is back. So there you have it. That is the whole story of Sonic Movie 3. Excellent movie. My hope for Sonic 4, I honestly don't know what they're going to do for Sonic Movie 4. All I know is that we're going to have Metal Sonic and Amy Rose. Now, I don't think we're getting Silver. It's going to be a Metal Sonic story with Amy. So is it going to be more like Sonic Heroes? I don't know. Is Robotnik even alive? Will he come back? Did Shadow save him? Maybe Shadow Chaos controlled him. I don't know. It all depends on Jim Carrey and if he's interested in the script. Jim Carrey said the reason why he kept coming back for Eggman or Robotnik is because Robotnik was different in every single movie, you know, and even in this one too. So if they make him a little bit more different in the fourth movie, I can see him coming back. Otherwise, that's the end of Robotnik, and he had an emotional end. I actually liked it. He died saving everybody. We're definitely getting the Shadow spin-off before movie 4 though. So yeah, and also, like I was saying, there's actually a running gag of like this Telemundo Latino, soap opera that Robotnik has been watching because he's been depressed. And Shadow actually watches it too, and he's intrigued in it. And I was thinking, I know Jeff Fowler has seen the Shadow Latina memes because it was just so on the nose. And also another, that one clip from, what's it called, Snapcube? Is this one here.
What the actual shit? What?
There's a scene where Robotnik is like, what? When Gerald basically explains to Robotnik his true plans. It reminded me of that scene. So yeah, this movie has so many references and Easter eggs. I'm definitely going to rewatch it again, and this time I'm going to pay more attention to Shadow's backstory with Maria and Gerald, because I was just kind of so overwhelmed at that. I kind of missed some key points, so I want to make sure I wasn't missing anything, because it felt like some things were incomplete about that backstory, but I really thought it was emotional. So yeah, there you have it, guys. What do you think about all these spoilers, and have you seen the movie yet? Let me know down in the comments below. It's going to be a long review, so I definitely have to edit it. And also, Sonic Rebound Episode 7 has been delayed. It's coming out beginning of next year. I'm aiming for January, just to let you guys know. We're still working on it, but we're going to get that beginning of next year. And Sonic the Wrath of Not So Part 1, we're aiming for June release next year. June! So stay tuned for that as well. Next year is going to be great. Alright guys, that wraps it up for now, so take care. And until next time, I'm out.